On the way to Area C, Chuck asked, like in a detective novel, what the female patient told Teddy after sending her away. Teddy stopped hiding, pulled out the notebook, finding Ren left by the woman. Does this mean the island hides a terrifying secret linked to Grandma? Teddy found a clue about Redis and wouldn't give up, heading to Area C. Chuck asked Teddy if he'd confront Redis with a meat cleaver on finding him, but Teddy said no. During World War II, Teddy was a warrior. He followed his squad into a concentration camp, saw bodies everywhere, and decided to retaliate against the killers. He still vividly remembers those scenes, saving a suicidal officer by kicking away his gun, watching him suffer and slowly die. For years, he grew tired of killing. Chuck saw Teddy as a mystery of ages. Not for revenge. What was his true purpose? Seeing Chuck's puzzle, Teddy excitedly said the island prison, like a psychiatric hospital, secretly conducted mass slaughter experiments. He saw a college student named George who, in a quest for cash, became a lab rat on this island, truly trading his life for bucks. After returning, George became extremely manic, almost punishing his teacher, and was brought back to the island, locked in Area C. A year later, abused George was released and immediately stabbed 3 at a bar. Strangely, he even asked for the death penalty. He wanted to escape from this island that had tormented him, as death seemed like a relief to him. Yet, the judge didn't give him a death sentence, thinking he had severe mental. Instead, he was just locked up in another prison by the time Teddy found him, helpless as a bug on grass. Haha, Teddy learned doctors on the island used innocent patients for brutal human experiments. Teddy's purpose for coming here was to gather evidence and expose it all to the public, essentially to say a big thank you to this island for the experience. After all, as an ex-soldier, Teddy witnessed killings often. Didn't he fight to prevent humans harming each other? However, the terrifying experiments here seemed to be a form of covert killing, and he had to put a stop to it. Yet Chuck felt betrayed, and the two had a reconcilable argument. At that moment, the island's gods discovered them and quickly took them back. But after returning, Teddy accidentally learned that there were only 66 patients on the island, and the revelation was huge, so he stopped pretending. He angrily asked Dr. Corey about the 67th patient, but Dr. Corey denied its existence on the island. Strangely, Dr. Corey told Teddy Rachel was found, but not seen. But the moment Rachel caught sight of Teddy, she surprisingly mistook him for her husband, consistently blaming him for his habitual heavy drinking and his disregard for the family. But then Rachel said that her husband had died long ago, and she questioned Teddy who the heck he was, leaving Teddy with a ringing in his ears, and so he hurriedly took a couple of pills to rest. But in a daze, he felt as if he was back in a concentration camp, with bodies strewn across the streets. He snapping back. He found the female corpse on the ground turned into Rachel, and the girl beside her opened her eyes, asking why he didn't save them. Then, Teddy entered another room, where Rachel stood in blood, with 3 dead children on the floor. Teddy approached in horror and picked up one of the little girls, but unfortunately, she kept asking him why he hadn't saved her. However, Teddy, clutching the little girl, suddenly dunked her to the bottom of the lake, and then she woke up in a flash, as if everything was in a dream. At this point, Chuck suddenly suggested taking advantage of the tempest and sneaking into Area C. But Teddy, on entering Area C, was immediately thrown into a street fight by a prisoner. Luckily, he subdued the attacker swiftly with his skills. He even went for the kill, but at the critical moment, Chuck stepped in and said hey. Although the prisoner was already quite banged, Chuck took the wounded prisoner to the infirmary, while Teddy searched alone. To his shock, the next scene left him speechless. Teddy wondered, why is George still here? It was confusing, giving him a headache. The outcome was that this whole affair was like a special script written just for Teddy, a truly unprecedented arrangement throughout the ages. Suddenly, George burst into tears, realizing there was a debate on the island over treating sick patients, one being supportive therapy and the other a grim removal of the brain's frontal lobe. Obviously, the surgery was extremely cruel, turning people into memoryless zombies. If all patients suffered this, it was outright outrageous. As Chuck prepared to leave, he changed his mind, telling Teddy Dr. Corey was rushing here, having heard the prisoner was beaten. Thus, in that urgent situation, the two hurriedly sought refuge in the safe back hills, and to one's amazement, Chuck unexpectedly stumbled upon Redis admission records, which was nothing short of a jaw-dropping major discovery. But oddly enough, there was no corpse report or pictures in sight. As Chuck was about to hand it to Teddy, he said to wait and check later. Such crucial clues. Could there be an unspoken secret behind this? The movie was becoming more of a dizzying and Teddy climbed determinedly to the lighthouse, believing he'd find the truth there, but Chuck urged him to turn back. Because they had proved the existence of the 67th patient and could confront Dr. Corey. Thus, rushing towards the lighthouse at this moment was like asking for trouble. Teddy couldn't understand why he was so bent on moving forward, and thus the two resumed their quarrel. Teddy was not in the mood to heed Chuck's advice. Not long after, an unexpected incident occurred. Teddy found he couldn't reach the lighthouse and decided to go back to look for Chuck, but his body had suddenly vanished. He looked towards the cliff and saw Chuck's body lying quietly below, grief-stricken. But then, something strange happened. Chuck's body mysteriously vanished. Teddy glanced around, saw Fowler in the cliff cave, thinking it was Chuck. Inside, he found it was Rachel. It turned out Rachel was not a patient, but a professional psychiatrist, and that was one huge secret. If you enjoy this dramatic turn of events, make sure to subscribe to my channel for the latest content.